voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Jonesborough's community radio station. Your life, your music. KLEK 102.5 FM.
Good Thursday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. It'll be partly to mostly sunny today in the mid to upper 80s, northeast wind about 10 miles per hour. Partly to mostly clear overnight, that overnight temperature in the mid to upper 60s. Mostly sunny Friday, the high near 88. There's a chance of a few showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. The bulk of the weekend should be partly sunny. Temperatures over the weekend should be near 90 degrees. Your life, your music, we're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From FSN in London, I'm Nina Maria Potts with the latest world headlines. Thousands of Greek migrants are homeless after a fire destroyed a refugee camp that housed 13,000 people on the Greek island of Lesbos. Greece is sending 3 ships to help. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is hoping a mass COVID-19 testing program could be ready by next year to help avoid national lockdowns. And a spokesperson for Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny has dismissed reports that he has made a significant recovery after being poisoned.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Kabila Jones, and my special guest today is Mrs. Linda Denny. She's the candidate for Jonesboro City Council Ward 3, Position 2. Cricket County is stuck in my head. I'm going to get it right before the day is over. So good morning to you, Ms. Linda.
Good morning.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us today, and we're going to just jump right into an introduction of who you are, and then tell us about your experience or your work history and why you decided to run for City Council.
Okay. I was raised in Jonesboro, went to Jonesboro Public Schools and JHS. I graduated from Arkansas State University with a BS in accounting. Went through school on scholarships and Pell Grants, and then I went back and got my master's, and I do have a CPA. I have worked most of my career in manufacturing and as a controller, general accounting manager. I've worked at Colson Casters in Jonesboro and Monette. Okay. My latest manufacturing job was Best Conveyors, which is now FMH Conveyors in Jonesboro. Okay. I did have to leave Jonesboro to find, jobs that I, to promote my career. I lived in Mountain Home for 9 years, worked at Eaton Corporation there. I was the controller. And then I've also lived in Batesville, where I was the controller at Pro Dentec.
Oh, wow.
And also Fayetteville for a short time. So came back to Jonesboro in 2009. And when I retired from FMH, I went to work for the county. I was working for Wes Eddington as his chief deputy in the tax collector's office. And so that was a pretty huge difference between private industry and government.
I can imagine. So you have quite a bit of experience on different in different entities. So I want to say good morning to Mrs. Gwen Henderson checking in. She says good morning, KLEK, all the way from Arizona. Thank you for checking in with us. And again, if anyone has any questions, comments for Mrs. Linda, please drop them in our Facebook Live feed or give us a call here in the studio at 870-277-1080. All right, so let's talk about, okay, you shared your experience. What made you decide to run for City Council? I always ask anybody, and I just want to say God bless anybody who's running for any position.
Well, when I first retired, I spent a lot of time taking care of my dad. I have a 91-year-old father who is suffering from prostate cancer.
Oh, okay.
And so I spent a lot of time with him, and he gets better, then he has to go back on treatment again, and he's currently on treatment again. But when he started to get better, I was like, now what am I going to do?
Okay.
So I feel like I still have a lot to offer.
Okay.
And as a controller, I've always had to ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
And part of the job of a controller is, of course, the budget and comparing actual expenses to budgeted expenses, but also reviewing projects and looking at the initial project description and the bids and just watching the overspending. And I think that would be a huge help with the city council, because you always hear every project there's overspending, and then there's always the rush to get something in. And I'm just used to making sure the bids are accurate and the bids are legitimate. And I wouldn't send anything to corporate unless I was positive that everything had been considered on that project.
Okay.
And I like to ask questions.
Alrighty. And I feel that as a resident of Jonesboro, I've been here, and I wasn't born here, but I've been here for over 20 years, so I'm pretty much a Jonesborian, however you want to say it. But yes, I feel that some things can be rushed, and we do need to take our time and look at all the details of whatever the projects are. I mean, they're not just a have right now. So that's just my personal 2 cents. Oh, I forgot to give the disclaimer. I apologize. KLEK and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council does not support or endorse any candidate for office. This interview is provided for informational purposes only. So I just want to make sure to give that disclaimer before we move forward. All right, so now you have this time, you feel that you're ready. Let's talk about some of the issues. Like, I have questions I've been asking each candidate, but I want to start with, what are your issues in particular that you want to try to address if you are elected?
Well, I'm interested in the quality of life. I'm interested in trees. I was raised by a tree hugger. My dad has planted trees in Jonesboro for 70 years, and he was an original tree hugger when it wasn't popular. He always said that we were measuring around the tree. We weren't really hugging it.
Okay.
So it gets pretty literal there. But I'm very interested in sidewalks, green spaces, mosquito control. My dad was always taught us that to be careful with chemicals, to not overuse chemicals. And I know I've been reading that a lot of these mosquito control efforts kill a lot of the butterflies. And I've noticed this year I have seen more butterflies, and I'm very happy about that. I know this sounds very simplistic, but I think that, bluebird houses, bat houses, things that can naturally control the mosquitoes and also benefit our environment. Okay.
And that's the first, and even though I'm not an environmentalist to some degree, like, I do have concerns about the environment. I think that's a really great idea. We need to look at things that are more natural in nature, I guess you say, that can be beneficial to the city on a long-term basis.
And I believe in the urban forest. I think we should have more tree ordinances, more things about trees. I've recently joined the AUFC in Little Rock, which is the Arkansas Urban Forestry Commission.
Okay.
I have been to one meeting in Little Rock years ago, and I came back so enthused and impressed with the trees and some of the different cities that are really, honor their trees. And I know in Arkansas, Little Rock, Fayetteville, and Hot Springs are all big into the tree preservations and everything. And I want Jonesboro to be too. I mean, we're one of the larger cities in the state. I want to promote trees.
Okay. Well, that is definitely an interesting topic going forward. So, all right. And aside from those issues, I know we have talked about with other candidates, when it comes to quality of life, certain amenities that will benefit the residents. I'm an advocate for disability amenities or disability accessibility to certain businesses in different places around town. Also, quality of life as in, I know we have community centers, but sometimes we could use an addition to those centers because some of them have sports facilities within them. So something separate that can provide a space for residents that are not into sports.
Right, right. And I have noticed too when I'm been looking around to try to find a place for a meet and greet to try to get to talk to the people, that it is it's very difficult to find a place where you can, gather people. A lot of the facilities that are indoor facilities are limiting the rentals because of the COVID situation. So right now I've got a meet and greet scheduled for October the 3rd, and I'm going to try having it in the parking lot at the Pleasant Grove Methodist Church.
Okay.
Which is just right across from where I live. So that'd be pretty nice area, but it's October might not be as hot.
We hope not.
I hope not.
Yes. They're already getting snow in Colorado, so we don't know what's going to happen here. So, all right, and let's talk about some economic growth and development issues. We've talked to other candidates about businesses that make a bid to come to town, and even some apartment or housing developments. And so, if you are elected to city council, what would you like to see, or what influence would you try to have on really looking at those proposals?
Well, I'd like to really take a close look at the housing areas and make sure that they're not so many units crammed in just a tiny space.
Okay.
People need green space. They need trees. They need flowers. They need to be outside.
Okay.
And I think they should have an outdoor area, an outdoor park.
Okay.
And on the factories and everything, I do think that they need sidewalks. They need trees. They need to make it, where people want to come and work.
Okay.
And I also think on factories and everything that we really need to take a closer look at the long-term aspects of that specific industry. Like when the windmill company came to Jonesboro, I was so excited about that because again, that's very environmentally, good, but it didn't last, and I don't know why, and I was so disappointed to see it go. But
was it a manufacturing?
Yes, it was a windmill manufacturing facility. Oh, gosh, it's been several years ago now, but the city and the county and the state had offered them a lot of incentives to come, and then when they left, all those incentives were gone too, and we lost a lot of tax money.
Okay.
And we lost, I don't know. I'd like to study that very closely with, any kind of industry. And I also want to consider that it's an industry that will pay a livable wage.
Okay.
I don't want them to come in here and just use temps, as their local workers, and I want them to use the people in our area, our community.
Okay.
We have a university here. We produce a lot of quality workers. We need to be given an opportunity.
Okay. And I would like to see ask this question first. Okay, what about trying to help build up different sides of town? And I know people think we talk about the north side a lot. However, it is one of those sides of towns that often gets neglected. I do understand, some of the issues the north side may face, but now all sides of town have their own issues. So
I was actually raised on the north side of town.
Okay.
I grew up on Pratt Circle, which is not too far from Patrick. And so I understand completely, the discussion and everything about the north side, and we do need to promote it. I really think that Dr. Coleman has done an awfully lot to do that. I hear he's going to do on October the 6th an National Night Out. Going to do a drive-by event, which is going to be a little bit different, but I've contacted him and the people that are working with him on that to see if there's anything I can do to help.
Okay.
But I have seen things. I mean, there's been things out there at the North Side Ballpark.
Okay.
Gatherings and stuff, and it's awesome. A lot of times I don't think it's promoted enough because one of them event when I was running for Quorum Court, I heard about that morning. It was something that was called Meet the Candidates, and so I'm like, I'm running for Quorum Court and on that district, so I jumped up and ran out there. but just need a little more, getting the word out.
Okay. All right. And so going forward, I hope that more businesses will consider. And I know that it takes the residents to get involved as well. So speaking of that, if you are elected, what are some ways you would try to get the residents of your ward to be more engaged in city council discussions?
I've heard quite a bit of discussions about, at the very minimum, having 2 ward meetings every year, and I think that is absolutely a great idea.
Okay.
And I'd like to do that. I've also talked with Patty Lack, who's running for Quorum Court, about doing some community classes that actually explain some of the things about how the city's run and how the county is run.
Okay.
And the different departments and what they do and what they're responsible for. And I'm really excited about that. We're going to get something started on that in January.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll be able to have a place to meet
yes.
that won't be, outside, and we've just got to figure out with this new world we're living in with the COVID
yes,
of how to do it.
Now, I've asked other candidates this, and again, to anyone who's already on city council, I don't know how this works, but would you try to connect with your other council person, and then really try to boost up engagement and getting to know the residents of the area that you serve?
I think that's a great idea. I've talked to Ann Williams. She's the one on the Ward 3 for position 1,
mm-hmm.
and so it'll be kind of neat if we. If I do win this election, I will be 2 ladies in the same ward.
Okay.
And I think women should get more involved. I like to see us represented on the city council and in the quorum court. We're half the population, and I do realize, because I was there myself, that you get so tied up in your career
mm-hmm. and
your family, it's difficult to stretch out then into, doing so much work in the community. But that's what we've got to do.
All right. Well, let's talk about, you brought up Arkansas State University earlier. So I want to talk about developing a partnership with Arkansas State, and maybe some students that are in government classes or looking into some public service or something of that nature. So talk about, why do you feel that, one, representation matters as far as women being involved in government, and then developing their relationship with the students and getting them more involved in city government?
I think we're going to have to start younger than university age.
Okay.
I think we're going to have to go down into the junior high or high school. I never considered a career in politics until after I retired.
Okay.
And why is that? I mean, I was very motivated and very competitive, and I just thought business was the way to go.
Okay.
And why didn't I think of, community service?
Okay.
And I have, my father and I go out to the farmer's market on Saturday.
Okay.
And I was talking to a young lady the other day, and she acted like she was very interested and involved. And I was like, think about it.
Okay.
You have a lot to offer. And she just kind of perked up, and it made me proud. So
that's awesome. Well, we do hope to see some type of relationship or developed or increased with not just Arkansas State, but all the schools around the city of Jonesboro.
Yes, I love ASU, so that's my alma mater.
I'm happy to say that I got my bachelor's from there, so yay, Red Wolves.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about, let's go a little bit deeper into the housing market, the housing issue. You talked about looking into the projects that are coming or that are proposed and making sure they're not so cluttered and clustered together. What about, work that people don't like to talk about, which is gentrification, as far as bringing in developments that I understand developers have to get their money out of whatever the product they're putting in. However, sometimes the cost of renting or owning those places are a little higher than the residents that already live there can afford. Everyone deserves nice housing. However, some people get pushed out.
Yes, and I think that there can be, we hear about Jonesboro beautification, and I think we could do more with the residents in some of those areas and do some kind of community involvement with, instead of just having the maintenance code people come in and write them tickets. I mean, what can we do to help them? Sometimes, you know, it may be a single woman living there, and it's difficult to get some of these things done. Money may be tight, you know, when the roofs are expensive, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
We need to do more to help the residents in those areas, and I don't think just tearing the house down is the answer. People deserve to be able to live in their homes on their land, you know, and plant all the trees they want in the yard.
Alrighty. All right, so we have about a minute left in this segment, so we're going to just pause on the questions just a little bit. Just want to remind everyone we are speaking with Mrs. Linda Denny, who is the Jonesboro City Council candidate for Ward 3, Position 2. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in our Facebook Live feed or call the studio at 870-277-1080. We would love to hear from you, the people, because election time is right around the corner. This is September. We have less than 2 months before election time, and so we want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. So, okay, we have like 30 seconds. What are some things we're going to get into, what you would like to get into when we come back?
I am very interested in mental health issues in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and the homeless that is caused by this mental illness. And I have a family member right now that is having some real difficulties. And I was so excited when the crisis stabilization unit came to KLEK County. But it's totally underutilized. And they're still, when they do have an issue with somebody that's having a crisis, they still just throw them in the jail.
All right, we're going to pause right there. We'll definitely get into that discussion when we come back. You're tuned in to Community Conversations. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Is your child spoiled? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Many parents walk a fine line between caring for their children and spoiling their children, but the difference is not too complicated. Caring is always giving your children what they need. Spoiling is always giving your children what they want. When children become accustomed to getting what they want, how they want it, and when they want it, they develop a very self-focused, selfish mindset. So here are a couple of things to do to help you avoid spoiling your children. First, don't pick up after your kids. Though it's easier to just do it yourself, be sure to have your children learn to clean up their own messes. Second, don't let them boss you around. When your children start making demands, take charge to avoid being manipulated. Train your kids well, and remember, your family first.
Dads, get in the game. Check out allprodadbook.com.
Made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook.
Brought to you by the Jonesboro Alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, dedicated to the purpose of achievement. Jonesboro Alumni at gmail.com, Jonesboro AR Alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity on Facebook, and Jonesboro_Kappas on Instagram.
KLEK thanks the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life, such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
The Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was established on June 28, 1997 by 13 dynamic women who accepted the challenge of chartering the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter. Today, the chapter continues to impact the Jonesboro community by sponsoring programs such as the Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Breakfast, Community Back to School Bash, Delta Academy, Voter Registration Drive, and Autism Awareness. Our focus correlates with the national theme, joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. Our chapter supports Delta's 5-point programmatic thrust: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. More information about the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is available at www.jonesboroalumnidst.org or via email jonesboroalumni@live.com.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Quabila Jones, with my special guest, Mrs. Linda Denny, who is the Jonesboro City Council candidate for Ward 3, Position 2. And so before we went to break, we were talking about some other issues that the city of Jonesboro faces. And so we're going to get into mental health issues and the crisis stabilization unit. And we know that that facility goes underutilized, and then also tie into that the homeless population. And we have facilities and properties around Jonesboro that are either vacant or go underutilized. And what are some things you would try to do if you are elected to city council?
Well, I have already contacted the lady that runs the hub.
Okay.
And I haven't started yet, but I'm going to help her do some data entry.
Okay.
They're not doing as many appointments or anything now with this COVID going on,
Okay.
and it's just difficult. And they want to be careful with the people that, older people. They don't want them
Okay.
to be exposed to any COVID or anything like that. So I thought, well, data entry, that sounds like it's right down my alley. I've been an accountant and I've done plenty of data entry. But, to me, it seems as if the homeless situation is just accelerated by the mental health issues.
Okay.
That's the reason. These people, they had homes probably and families, and the families just couldn't handle them, and they had to kick them out or something.
Okay.
There's issues there, and it's not always drugs and alcohol. Sometimes it's just flat out mental health or dementia or autism or I don't know what all the things are, but I can see that it's a bigger problem. I wish we could just fix it with addiction control, but a lot of people do self-medicate, and
Yes.
I know that's an issue. I don't really think of that as an addiction as much as just trying to self-medicate. They don't know how to fix themselves either, and we
Okay.
need more help there. I'm trying to get a tour of the crisis stabilization unit because I want to see what they have there, what they offer. Because from what I'm hearing right now, they only take care of people that are suicidal or homicidal.
Oh.
And that's not always the case. I mean, everybody knows that there's manic depressives, there are other mental health issues, and I'm thankful that, they are taking care of the ones that are suicidal and homicidal, but we need more than that. We need to take care of the others too.
All right. And if you are elected to city council, would you try to get together with the other council members, the other 11, and say, okay, let's, bring some proposals to the table. Let's put some items on the agenda and have discussions with individuals who can possibly make some things happen.
Absolutely. I think that's just crucial, and
Okay.
I think that I do like the idea of committees, getting people in the community also together to give us their insight of what's going on, because the more I talk to people, the more they're telling me things that I didn't realize.
Okay.
I was talking to a lady just yesterday, and she felt like she's really being intimidated by the maintenance control, the people that are coming by. And those people are also public servants. They shouldn't be coming and intimidating you. They should be finding out ways that they can help you, you know, get your property back up to code and things of that nature.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about what if some type of controversial issue comes before the council. If you're elected, we know that last year we had, you know, the MLK street renaming, and that brought a lot of people out. And I was happy to see the residents, no matter what side they were on, the residents coming out. And there's been other issues that the residents have come out and spoke up about. But going forward, if another issue comes to the table, would you like to see a special committee started? Would you like to see a more permanent committee just formed for those particular discussions? Or do you feel the city council is the committee that is supposed to discuss?
I think a special counsel for a special reason would be more effective, because those people that come out to and have an interest in it, they're more passionate. They're the ones that want to get. I think if you just have a permanent committee, they'll kind of get lazy duck, you know.
Okay.
And not really consider, you know, the impact that particular issue has on people. And I did apply to be on that committee for and I was not selected. Kind of disappointed about that. But you're right. It was exciting to see people excited.
Okay. Alrighty. And so hopefully going forward, we will start to see more people engaged, because we know that on the Jonesboro website, jonesboro.org, the agenda for each city council meeting is available before the meetings. And we know right now that there's limited space for people to attend, but you can also watch the live. You can always watch the live videos of the city council meeting. So
yes,
I hate to say there's no excuse for people not to be engaged or informed, but we need to become more engaged and informed citizens.
And I really like the idea that the city council is recorded and the video is shown. I wish the county would do that too with quorum courts. I mean,
they don't do that for.
No, but I think it's a great idea.
Well, and we also, I know this is not a Cricket County discussion, but I would like to see more people get involved on the county level as well, because we do have several Justice of the Peace people running for the Justice of the Peace position, and they serve essentially like city council members, but on the quorum court.
Yes.
And they make decisions that, you know, affect the county. So we need to know what's happening there as well.
And there's so many women running this year. I'm very excited to see that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Power to the women. I'm sorry, I'm a little biased because I'm a
Me
woman.
too.
Power to the women, whoever wins. But of course, we have to remain unbiased here at the radio station. But as a woman, you know, I'm always pushing for the women, whoever they are. Okay, so moving forward, let's talk about, and I asked other candidates this question about, you know, also I think last year we had Team Jonesboro submit a proposal for several different projects. Even if that group doesn't come back together, you know, and they don't present ideas as under that umbrella, if someone or entity presents proposals, how do you feel we should, or the council, I'm sorry, not we, if you're elected, how do you feel the council should address those issues?
You know, I think it's a great idea to have community projects that improve and enhance our city. I was not in favor of the tax. I hate more taxes. Even though I'm an accountant, I don't like the taxes. But you know, I was afraid to vote for the tax increase because I really didn't trust the project control and staying within budget and getting the proper bids and not overpaying for too much stuff. And that you see that happen over and over again in the city. And someone has got to put their thumb on it and say, you know, do you need $500,000 for bathrooms? You know. Why wasn't that in the original plan? You knew you needed bathrooms.
Now some people may ask though, well, if we don't raise a special tax here or there, how are these things going to get funded?
I think that we should be a better steward of the money and make sure that, I don't think the mayor needs a new car every year. I think there's a lot of wasteful spending.
Okay. Now, are those some issues that city council members can address as far as the city budget, looking at?
They approve the budget, so
Okay.
it's presented by the mayor, and the city council has to approve it. Now, how much they question it or whatever, I'm not sure. But when we put budgets together in business, we had to have all of our capital plans in place. That was part of the budget.
Okay.
And how much money was going to be needed for each of the plans. And, I know that, we know every year that the firemen need radios. So that should be in the budget. We know they need it. We make sure they have it.
Alrighty. Now, are these issues that the public are made aware of? I know there are there are subcommittees within the city of Jonesboro that meet for different issues before some items come to council. How would you try to get the residents of the ward, to become more engaged in those meetings as well, because they are actually videoed and live often?
They are on that Legistar website also. You can go back and look at some of the different committees and the meetings.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, so going forward, what are some other issues that, are there some other issues that you would like to tackle or like to see the council do more of differently?
Well, one of them, I really don't like all of these municipal liens put on people for the mowing. You've got like a small lot and you're charging $175 to mow it when, somebody else is going to come in. A private citizen could come in and mow it probably for $30. Okay. And then you turn around and put a lien on their house. It just seems so oppressive and so, I know that sometimes you have to do that, but the last couple of city council meetings, there were several. I mean, that was most of the meeting. Let's put a lien on this property. Let's put a lien on that. It was, to me, it's too many.
Okay. So instead of talking with the resident, trying to work out some other deal, the council or whoever made a decision to go another way.
And how did they come up with such a price? I mean, I know people that mow yards and they don't get that kind of money for mowing a small lot.
Well then, okay, speaking of, if certain projects are brought before the council, will you advocate for looking at, getting different bids from other, maybe private companies, and then also looking at, especially if it's a bigger project, getting bids from local companies?
Absolutely, yes. I think we should use our local people if we can help our community. It stays right here.
Okay. And so, again, you're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Mrs. Linda Denny, who is the Jonesboro City Council candidate for Ward 3, Position 2. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in our Facebook Live feed. We'll be happy to ask them. If you just want to say hello, good morning, let us know you're watching, or give us a call in the studio, 870-273-9028. Want to say good morning to Mr. Derek Coleman. Thank you so much for checking in today. Okay, so we've talked about housing development. Let's talk about the youth population of the city, because that the youth hold a special place in my heart. And not to say that there are not enough projects or programs or things for them to do, but sometimes it kind of is not.
Well, what I have discovered with my little nephew is that he likes to play baseball. And so, we've got the nice parks out there, but each different field you have to pay $3 to go in to see it. And if he's got 2 games a week, and say you had 3 or 4 grandchildren, how are you going to afford to go to all those games? I mean, it's gotten way too expensive.
Okay.
For the participants, because I'd like to bring, if my nephew's there, I want, all of his aunts and uncles there and his grandparents there. Just mom and dad, that's not really just doing the community, getting more of community involved.
Okay, so what is your proposal then to help alleviate some of the costs and make it a little easier for families to attend?
You know, I'm really not sure yet, but
Okay.
what I'd like to do is I'd like to look at how much money they've collected. I'd like to look at what they spend it on. You know, again, I'm an accountant. I like to trace the money,
Okay.
follow the money.
So if you are elected to city council, which one of the committees would you, okay, one, do city council members serve on other committees within the city of Jonesboro? So which committee, and then which committee would you serve on?
I really don't know. I'm not sure how that works,
Okay.
but I would hope, you know, to have some input in the finance committee.
Okay.
But I'd also like to have input in public safety because I want sidewalks, I want lighting,
Okay.
you know, and public service, you know, because I'm concerned about, you know, I'm not really sure what they do, but you know, I'm open to all of them.
Okay. Okay.
Any of them.
All right. And so you talked about you have a meet and greet. Oh, okay. We have a question from Mr. Coleman. I want to say good morning to JJ Sifford, who checked in. Mr. Derrick says, what is your area, okay, or ward you cover? And two, do you support ward or citywide elections?
My ward is 3, and the northern part of that ward is Sage Meadows. And then it comes down, it touches a little bit on Highland, and so the country club area is also in that ward, and Birdtown, you know, all the streets are named after birds.
Okay.
And then it goes up and touches a little bit on Patrick and back up to Lost Creek. So it's a north-south area.
Okay.
It's part of Belt Street's in it, and part of Greensboro. It's a pretty diverse ward.
Okay. All right. And so I know this question was asked another day. I think Mr. Derrick asked it about, okay, you serve in one ward. Oh, let's finish the other question. Do you support ward or citywide ward only or citywide election?
You know, that's kind of a tough question because when I ran for Quorum Court, that was just in the JP district. And on that election, I lost by 23 votes, so that was kind of crushing. And I know there are just a lot of people in Jonesboro that knew me and that wanted to vote for me but couldn't because they weren't in my ward.
Okay.
And so I'd have to say that I would lean more towards the citywide, just because a lot of times you can't help where you live, but when you know what people are about and what they want to do, you know, you should be able to make your voice heard.
Okay. So let's talk about, if you are elected, getting the people from the different sides of town to connect, to have discussions, and to really, I don't want to say get on board, like you're trying to make people, you know, lean one way or another on an issue, but just getting people to see it, maybe understand from a different perspective, depending on whatever the issue is. Just say it's a business that's trying to come in town, discuss why it should go on this side versus that side,
and we should know what district that is. When it comes into town, we should talk about the district or the ward that it's in, and I don't think we do that in Jonesboro.
Okay.
You know, when we have the issue about some more apartments that were going in on Greensboro Road, you know, I didn't realize that was Ward 3, and I should have, you know, and I do now.
Okay. And so, so getting the different, and I don't want to say diverse, but Jonesboro is fairly diverse when it comes to each side of town. If you just kind of split it down the middle, like north, south, east, and west, they have their own identity to some degree. And so getting those different sides to come together and look at each other's issues and say, okay, how can we all work together on these issues? How do you feel about that?
We definitely need to work together and work on issues that will make Jonesboro better as a whole, you know?
Okay.
I don't want to favor just the west side. I don't want to, you know, or the north side. I want them all to be better.
Okay. Alrighty. We have a comment from Skip Kelly, who says, councilmen represent the entire city, say no to ward-only voting.
Oh.
Alrighty. Well, do you feel that, we know that Mr., what's his name? One of the council members, he brought up, well, maybe making one position ward only. voting and then one position is citywide. How do you feel about that proposal?
Again, I think that would just divide those two council people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We want them to come together and work for their wards.
Okay.
And if one, I just don't understand why you would want to do one or the other. I mean, I would think it would be the same, but.
Well, I know the issue came up several years ago. Someone was running and people in his area knew him, but then people in other parts of the city didn't know him, and so he felt that he may have won if it was limited to just the people that were in the area. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't really have any thoughts one way or the other right now. I haven't had time to just weigh my feelings about that yet, so I'm not going to say what I think or feel right now, so because I don't have an opinion. But we are getting ready to go upon another break. And I want to thank everyone who has chimed in so far, and thank everyone who is watching, who's listening out there wherever you are. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Linda Denny, who is the Jonesboro City Council candidate for Ward 3, Position 2. And again, if you have questions, comments, please leave them in our Facebook Live feed. Or give us a call here in the studio, 870-277-1080. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Mrs. Linda will wrap up, her talking points and give you a reason why you should vote for her. So we'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Boosting savings and eliminating debt are steps we all must take if we're serious about improving our finances. However, we must also focus on ways to generate more income. One way of creating additional streams of income is the side hustle. Here's what to consider before you pursue them. First, have a clear understanding of your main employer's policy on developing business, soliciting customers, consulting with clients, or providing services both during business hours or on your own time. Unless it's necessary, do not make your side hustle a topic of conversation at your main job. Also, make a serious commitment to time management. Make sure you set realistic goals for all the demands on your time from your primary job, your side hustles, as well as your family and other obligations. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Guide Right Jonesboro Kappa League, a nonprofit organization that guides young men to a life of achievement. Kappa League Jonesboro on Facebook, Jonesboro_Kappa League on Instagram, and JonesboroKappaLeague@gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by.
Several years ago, we had a customer take a calf to the processing plant. The owner of the plant always got up very early. Our customer got a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the owner asked him, "How much of this beef do you want in hamburger?" Lemuel, not an early rider, said, "Eugene, I was laying here just thinking about that." Glenn sang, "God bless our troops."
Arkansas Early Learning is accepting applications right now for childcare. We have locations all across Northeast Arkansas. Applications online at arearlylearning.org. That's arearlylearning.org. Right here in the community at no cost. Arkansas Early Learning, offering kids a head start.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
The key to making this station even better could be parked in your driveway right now. Donate your old car to us, you'll get a tax deduction, and we'll tow it away for free.
Go to klekfm.org for more information. KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month. Shout out to Treasures Kids Daycare, child care for preschool 2.5 to 5 years old. 5114 East Middleton Avenue, Jonesboro. 870-623-5770. Treasures Kids Daycare on Facebook. Shout out to Sonia Sanders Realtor, there for you whether buying or selling a home. Listings and other information is available at soldinjonesboro.com. Sonia Sanders Realtor on Facebook, 870-275-8712.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with my special guest, Mrs. Linda Denny, candidate for Jonesboro City Council, Ward 3, Position 2. So I wanted to say thank you, one, for giving me your time today to share your stance on some of the issues that the city of Jonesboro faces. And so let's wrap up some of the ideas, the things that we talked about, for those who may have missed the beginning of the show, and then give your plea why you feel people should vote for you.
Well, I'm excited and eager to work, and I feel like I have a lot to offer. I'm not afraid to ask the questions. I want to use my experience in business to run the city more effectively and to use our tax money to its utmost. Wasting of tax money is terrible. Mm-hmm. And I want to see some controls put into place. I know this is a city, but that recent scandal at the county where so much money was stolen, that's horrible, and we've got to make sure that we've got all the proper controls, and also to provide the best service to our citizens. The tax money is necessary, and it's there for a reason, and it's to make our environment better, our quality of life better, our less crime.
Okay.
And vote for Linda. She's a native. I was raised here in Jonesboro and went to Arkansas State University. Got 2 degrees from there, and I passed my CPA in 1994, I guess. Okay. So.
Alrighty. And so again, just going through some of the issues that the city of Jonesboro faces that we discussed today, as far as looking closer and maybe a little longer at proposals for businesses that want to come into town or other entities, looking at utilizing local talent, whether it's contractors or employees for these different businesses versus bringing in outside temporary, or making the positions temporary, because we know that when you hire temps, you don't have to offer the same benefits that a full-time or permanent employee will get. And when one person in Jonesboro does better, it benefits the whole city of Jonesboro. When one person or a group of people are able to make a sustainable living income, then it benefits the city as a whole. That means more money they could spend within the city, and more revenue going into the city government's coffer. So it's just a cycle that we would like to see increase and continue. Well, I would, as a resident.
And I would like to see, when these companies come to town, come to Jonesboro and get all of our incentives and stuff, that even the management positions, some of those should be local people. You shouldn't just bring in everybody from somewhere else.
Okay.
And I've seen that happen time and again in Jonesboro. And we've got good people here. We've got a good university. You want people to stay in Jonesboro? Give them the opportunity for job growth. I had to leave the city. I didn't leave Arkansas, but I had to leave the city to further my career.
Okay, and we definitely don't want to see that happen to the students that go to, let's just start with the middle school, because even there, they're starting now talk about, college, because you have to start preparing for high school, like at 8th or 9th grade. Your grades you make there, determine where you're going to go once you get to 12th grade. So, yeah, we need to start having these discussions and looking at ways that we can benefit everyone, starting at a younger age now, and getting them more engaged in city government and how things work as well. We also talked about possibly creating programs to, again, network, a fellowship, communicate with those younger students, and hopefully get them more involved in city government, or want to get involved in some way in city government as they get older. Yes. All right. We talked about the homeless shelter. Well, kind of, sort of. We talked about the hub, but we also tied into that the crisis stabilization unit, and try to get that to be utilized a little more efficiently, I guess you should say.
Yes, and I wanted to address some other mental health issues. There's just a lot of other issues instead of just suicidal and homicidal. There are people, they need help. They need to be able to live in the community and with their families. So
okay, we have a comment. Well, Mr. Derek was addressing Skip, who mentioned about voting no for city for ward only. He says, well, if you live in your ward and they don't know or support you, how can you expect someone else in a different ward to support you? Vote yes, because if I can get a feedback in my area, because I can get feedback in my area first. Okay, so everyone feels how they feel about the ward only versus citywide voting. So we'll see how that issue comes about, and if it comes back
yes
to the table, and
yes,
what so if it does go to ward only voting, do you think that will cause issues though? Because when the city council comes together, you make decisions for the whole city. So do you feel that if it's ward only, those persons would advocate harder, or maybe only for their ward base?
and that's possible. I do think that they need to be responsive to their ward, and that hasn't been the case.
Okay.
But I also see where, especially if you have a lot of, and I guess this had happened in the JP district that I was running for before, so many new people, new housing developments in there. And although I had lived there, most of my life, except for the times that I'd moved out of Jonesboro, they didn't know me anymore. Okay. And I used my maiden name in my that campaign because I wanted them to know, where my family was and who my family was. But I don't know.
All right. Well, I guess just going forward, I would like to see all the council members, go out into their ward more. Yes. And engage with the residents however you can, because again, we don't know what it's going to be like, come the end of the year next year. And
right. There's a church right down 351 from where I live, and they have hosted the highway department meetings and stuff there. Okay. And I did talk to them about getting more involved and being able to use their facility, and they said that they did offer it to incumbents but not to candidates.
Okay.
So there's more you can do when you are actually the council person.
Okay. In our last minute, tell people again about your meet and greet.
Yes, I'm going to have a meet and greet on October the 3rd at the Pleasant Grove Methodist Church. Okay. And it's going to be like a drive-through. Don't have all the plans finalized yet, but just try to do something, Okay. I tried to look at several other places, and with this COVID, it's gotten to be kind of difficult to do that. But I would like to give people the opportunity, and I also want them to call me. Okay. Or visit my Facebook page if they want some more information. Okay. And I also have my email address listed. So
all right.
eager to talk to anyone at any time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Miss Linda, for joining us today. And thank you each and every person out there for listening, for tuning in, for your feedback. I hope everyone has a great and blessed day. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have another candidate.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place